Hey girl, let's talk crime. Today we are going to be discussing the murder of 16-year-old Leesa Marie Gray. Leesa Marie Gray was born in Dorsey, Mississippi on July 11th, 1983 to her parents John and Wanda. So according to family and friends, she was a big personality. She was like a ray of sunshine. She was involved in a lot of things at her school as well as her church, and she also had dreams of becoming an elementary teacher. In the summer of the year 2000, she had just finished her junior year and she would be going into her senior year. And that summer, she was working at her family's local restaurant as a waitress. So on this particular day, it was a Friday night on June 22nd, she was working her shift, and according to other witnesses, there was a man that she had been serving and he was being kind of flirtatious with her, and Leesa was not feeling it. So this man, whose name is Thomas Loden Jr., he had served in the Marines. For almost 2 decades, he was what they called a poster child for the Marine Corps. He was always highly spoken about. He had a wife and a young child. Now, during this interaction, people were saying that he was being flirtatious with her. However, she was not receptive, and he seemed like a little annoyed by it, but it wasn't anything that caused Leesa to act different or be extremely bothered by. So also during that shift, her mother had come in and was speaking with her about going somewhere for the weekend. Other family members had come in. Like I said, it is a really small local town where everybody knows everyone. So it wasn't anything that she felt like super uncomfortable about, but she did reject his advances. So at some point during that evening, Thomas goes outside and actually slashes Leesa's tire. He goes inside, he orders food, and then he makes it seem as if he leaves. But according to other people, or according to articles, let me say that, he may have parked somewhere else to where he could see her when she left. So after her shift is over, she leaves, she's driving home, and she realizes that something is wrong with her car. She stops, she gets out, and that's when she realizes that she has a flat tire. At around 10:45 p.m., none other than Thomas Loden stops by and offers her assistance. So according to Thomas's version, he states that he began to help with the tire, stating that he is a Marine, this is what they do. He had asked her about her career options and told her about the Marine Corps, and it was something that she was not interested in, as she wanted to become an elementary teacher, and apparently that was kind of the comment that set him off. At that point, he had forced her into his van and taken her to an isolated area at his grandmother's property, which is where he was visiting while in town at that time. Over the next 4 hours, Leesa was sexually assaulted by Thomas. He had tormented her. Around 2:30 in the morning, he had strangled her to death. Thomas then stuffed Leesa's body under a seat in his van and actually went back inside his grandmother's home and went to sleep. So Leesa's car had been located and it had the flashers still on. Her mother had reported her missing after she had not returned home, and that's when police began to investigate, starting with the restaurant, trying to get an understanding, like if anyone at her job knew anything, and that's when people came forward talking about Thomas. So one of her coworkers were able to inform the investigators that Thomas had been there a few times, once when he was being served by Leesa and flirting with her, and then a second time he came in later that evening when he ordered something to go, and then after that is when he had waited for her. So they were able to figure out who he was because of his grandmother. He went to the home, and the grandmother stated that Thomas was sleeping. They said that they would come back later on that day. When they came back, obviously he was gone. She did give them permission to search, and that is when they located bloody clothing. Later that evening on the property, Thomas was found near like a fishing area on his grandmother's property, and he had "I'm sorry" carved into his chest, and then also his wrists were slit. The police say that it was more for attention as opposed to trying to end his life. He was asked about the whereabouts of Leesa. He acted as if he had no idea what they were talking about. During the time that he was in the hospital, they continued to search the property, and that is when they also searched the van that was on the property, and they discovered the nude body of 16-year-old Leesa Marie Gray. She was bound, her hands and her feet. There was also a videotape found where he had recorded himself sodomizing and raping her. It was also shown that he had assaulted Leesa even after she had passed away. So police did find a freshly dug grave on the property, and they just assumed that that is where he would be burying Leesa. However, they were able to find her body before that. He still says that he did not remember what happened, and anything that he did remember, he still blamed it on Leesa, saying that she had disrespected him by talking about the Marines. His defense team did try to talk about the fact that he was sexually and physically abused as a child, and that there was a lot of trauma, especially from serving in the Marine Corps. However, he was ultimately sentenced to death. He spent 21 years on death row after pleading guilty for capital murder, rape, and 4 counts of sexual battery against Leesa Marie Gray. On December 14, 2022, 58-year-old Thomas Edwin Loden Jr. was pronounced dead at 6:12 p.m. He was injected with a lethal cocktail of drugs at the Mississippi State Penitentiary. Leesa's mother, Wanda, was in attendance at the execution. She did state that she had forgiven him a long time ago. However, she does believe in the death penalty. This was not something that she was happy to do, watch anyone die, but she was happy that her daughter, Leesa, got justice.